What's up, everybody? We are back, another episode of Point Forward. Early this week, we had a great conversation with Chris Paul. But before we get into our conversation with CP, we are looking at the NBA, what's been happening this past week, just before the in-season tournament playoffs are just upon us. Make sure y'all check us out at Point Forward on all social media channels, platforms, wherever you listen to your podcasts, all podcast distributors at Point Forward. So you can find us. What's up, y'all? I'm Andre Iguodala with my main man, Evan Turner. We are Point Forward. How's your last week been?
It's been all right.
It was Thanksgiving.
It was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I be forgetting
recently.
all about that
too. Doesn't turkey make you forget or some shit, or make you tired?
Good question. I'm not a holiday guy, but this was the most people that I've been around for a holiday in quite some time. It was a bunch of us.
Who was there?
Yeah, everybody. My son was playing in a big tournament in Texas.
Love that.
Down in Dallas.
Okay, cool.
And it was good to see him. He's been away from home. And so in-laws, my parents, all the kids, my sister-in-law. It was about 10 of us. And he brought a few of his teammates over. You know, they can eat.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
It was smooth. It was smooth.
That's dope. Yeah, I had a family at the crib in South Carolina, so I had like 10, 11 people. Oh, yeah. So that's like one of the first real times I hosted. So
who cooked?
I actually had, shout out to D Chef, he cooked. My mom made something like the little size, but I gave her a break. This year. She's she's in the Hall of Fame, so we can't really have her putting in 48 minutes again in the kitchen. And then it was a great time. We celebrated my aunt's birthday. Mm-hmm. We enjoyed ourselves, with family, like the wrestle and tussle. So that was I got you have like good moments, up and down moments, and just family moments.
No, mine was smooth. I kept it smooth. We had a caterer. Somebody cooked all the stuff for us, so it was easy. I don't know why I don't do that more often. Why we cook? Yeah, we had like this chef, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting your name, but it was unbelievable. It was some of the best mac and cheese I ever had. Her dad smoked the ham and the turkey and something else, but it was crazy.
If the chef's hit, as long as the pricing is hitting, you know what I mean? It's like, damn, what you want me to buy you a new stove? Like, you start charging $60 a plate. It was like, bro, I swear to God, G, I will air fryer this whole fucking meal. G. Like, stop playing with me, fam. Like, if it's 15 people in here, make 87 pieces of chicken, I'm gonna give you $120. I'll beat it.
I can dig it.
All right, let's go into it.
We had an interesting week last week. Last week we had some conversations about my teammates. My former teammate. And it feels like this week we're right back into the discussions. It's almost fitting with our guests. The judge is the jury, and we'll leave it at that. We are on the in-season tournament. The playoffs are just upon us. It's been interesting. Steph Curry said the in-season tournament, the games feel like playoffs.
Yeah, it's cracking.
It's been pretty cool, and to see some of the teams who've clinched already. I think thus far the Lakers have gotten in, and Indiana has gotten in, and the odds, DraftKings odds for, I keep forgetting there's an in-season tournament MVP.
Yeah, we already know who that's going to.
Do we already know?
It gotta go to the.
Because Buddy, when I was reading these numbers, it was like the first player to have, 35-plus points and like 15-plus assists in consecutive games.
You're talking about the beige man, right?
Tyrese Halliburton been cooking.
Go. Yeah.
He been cooking.
Bro, they gotta give it to him while you pause. Give it to him while you can. Like while you give it. He's been going crazy. And what's most important is crazy. It's like you see a guy getting 30, 15 assists, but it's turnover.
Oh, yeah. It's
like, so you're barely making any mistake at all on the court at one of the highest levels in the world. It's impressive.
Man, they're scoring a lot of points.
150.
They're scoring a lot of points. Current MVP odds for the end season, we got Giannis at plus 450. LeBron is second at plus 550, and Tyrese Halliburton at plus 700. The only time I get confused, I'll be honest, I get a little confused because I'll see the games throughout the week, and I'll say, like, Milwaukee take a loss.
Yeah, a lot, too.
Yeah, I see. I'm like, damn, they've been losing more than I thought they would. Or then I'll see a bad game from Giannis, and I'm like, wait, how is this possible? The favorite for MVP. But then I got to remember, like, in-season tournament games, there's a different barometer.
Yeah, I don't like how that conversation could strike something.
You know what I'm saying? It feels weird.
I don't like how the pop's in. Let's like, all right, you played bad here, but now there's two different ways you can view it. I see a lot of people in headlines like dudes leaving and being like, nah, bro, they shouldn't have shot that shot, running up points, this and the third. I think like that's starting to kick in a competitive nature. I love that because before they know it's like in November, dudes are heated and want to get to playing and competing at that level. So I appreciate that. But then you look at certain situations, you're using Giannis' situation, it's like he might play bad one night where it's not a playing game and then be arguing his numbers. He's supposed to be MVP, and it's like, I mean, every new thing has its inkling. It's just like people can make all NBA and not make the All-Star team.
It's just true. Or you can win the Defensive Player of the Year, but not be on all defensive first team. That was happening a lot for like a couple years straight.
Yeah, that's the NBA. That was like that's what happens when you just give anybody the job. But it's like, no, this don't make sense. But no, it's good for the fans. It's like, all right, cool. 1 + 1 = 8.
Yeah, and so I guess let me ask you this: who wins the in-season tournament? In your opinion?
Man, it's hard for me to go against the Celtics. Yeah.
Celtics got to get in. They took a tough loss to Orlando. I was watching that.
Yeah, that's tough, but I think they will.
And they got 2 injuries.
Damn.
Kristaps and Drew.
All right, just give me the Pacers, and just to be arguing. Damn, that's aggressive too.
No, it's not.
I mean, nobody just chose the Pacers in like 10+ years.
This is true. It's
so like that now. That sound crazy. Give me
The Lakers got on the roll.
I like the Lakers. You can't go against Bron. Who else?
Phoenix got a chance. Milwaukee got a chance.
Milwaukee always has a chance. I got the Lakers.
The Lakers versus Milwaukee will be a good, because we had that conversation. Do you want one game to be LeBron or a series? And so the end season, you just get one game.
I think Giannis can get you one game. Bron.
Man, Bron is going to exploit all the deficiencies of a team. And we all know what the struggles that Milwaukee have had this year.
Yeah.
And LeBron's getting a lot out of guys this year. Christian Wood.
Yeah.
And
Cam
Reddish. And Austin Reeves has been playing better since he's come off the bench. He's kind of found a rhythm.
Still averaging 15, 6, and 6. His shooting numbers.
Right.
His shooting numbers are crazy. When I did the peekaboo view, I'm like, damn, he must be sucking it like Paul sucking.
Right.
But it's like, no, his shooting numbers are good. Everything's good. We just got too hype on Austin Reeves. 15,
I agree with
6,
that.
and 6 is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
And it's unbelievable as a third option, but what y'all looking for is 20-something.
Yeah.
You blaming him for being a great fourth or fifth.
But I think we should dive into this conversation at some point. Your market and how it can affect the noise that surrounds you.
Yeah.
Because you got certain places you playing, like you got there's some extra noise that goes on, and it's a lot more extra attention on you, unwanted attention, and how it can affect your play. Cities like LA, playing in New York can be tough. Playing in Philly can be tough. But
you look at LA for voter stuff and media wise, same thing that laugh makes you cry. Look, shout out to Jamal Crawford, but you see certain years he winning, and you might be like, well, it's because they had a big market, and any writer at very least can watch the Clippers play at 1 a.m. and they don't comprehend yo, dog, the dude averaging Jeremy Lin averaging 10. 4-4 is no different than a Jamal Crawford 13-1-1 shooting 39%.
It's true. That's a good point. That's a good way to look at it. But I mean, or some guys, just no stress, and you just going out there hooping, and then they wonder how a guy struggles in the playoffs when them bright lights come on. Because now we picking apart your game.
Picking apart your game, and you got to see us literally 4 or 5 straight, straight games.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, the greatest basketball mind on earth, LeBron James is most likely to elevate, and you think you'll give the Lakers the eyes of winning?
Yeah, for what they playing right now, and AD just had a 35-point game.
And his defense is always there.
His defense is always there. And, yeah, it's one game. One game at a time.
And I always say this from the 2020 bubble. Like, the media and everything made me forget. It made me think that, like, a team of Bron and AD don't have enough.
That's true.
Like, and you be sitting here like, what the hell was that? Like, especially then, like, those are 2 top 5 players in the world. This is unfair.
Yeah.
And somehow somebody made us believe this was fair. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a great point.
And you be like, man, damn, gee, I should have, that parlay killed me. Like, you know what I mean? I should have known better, bro. Like, what the hell? Shout out to DraftKings, man.
In the NBA, the game can change in an instant. But no matter how the action unfolds, you know DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code POINTFORWARD. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code POINTFORWARD. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.
Point forward.
So, E.T., I had an interesting, we was on the bench one time, right?
Yeah.
And it was like some interesting calls being made on the court. And the guy was from Chicago. And I guess I'm giving it away. I should say one of my coaches was from Chicago. And he said, God damn, did I sleep with one of your girls? Because every time I see you, I get a bad whistle. man, it took me out. so it just got me thinking, like, there have been very interesting relationships, you know, with players and refs. And for me, it's always been the refs should never be seen. Like, your duty is to uphold the rules and regulations of the game without being an interference to the game. And with all that being said, I'd like to welcome Chris Paul to the podcast. You feel me though?
Hey man,
you feel me though?
I didn't know where you was going with that. I did not know where you was going with that, man. You just gonna start out. You got me mad all at the beginning already.
No. Well, I've been thinking about like what type of conversation that I want to have with you, and I think we should start with like you played in like a couple eras. It feels like. And you've dominated in a couple eras. And so the first question, we had the top 3 point guards of all time on our podcast, which is we appreciate you for popping up. Like you finished it out.
That is pretty crazy. I don't take that for
So how do you view yourself? Like I was speaking to I had a conversation with Ken Griffey Jr. And we were just saying like when you're that good. Do you know it? And you know, you've been on Steph for a while, and he moves as if he doesn't know it sometimes, and you have to remind him. How has it been for you in terms of how you see yourself?
Man, it's crazy because I'm still in it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the wild part, and you know the conversations me and you done had, Dre, over the years. It's wild the things that we've been exposed to and been able to see, and then. I always tell people, you hope that you're going to play like for one team your whole career, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact that I have moved around is giving me an appreciation for other guys, for other players, for other organizations. And knowing Steph the way that I knew him when we were younger, right? And then, you know, Golden State being a sworn enemy of mine for so many years. And now to be a teammate and me and Steph work out together and stuff like that, it's like this point where you compete like crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And we still compete in all these different ways, but it's so dope to see how people work, you know? And so I think there's an appreciation that I have for Steph, appreciation that I have for Russ, a lot of different guards in this league. Even somebody like D Rose, like me and D Rose, it's so crazy. People wouldn't know over our careers. We only played against each other a few times.
Oh, wow.
Right? Few times. Like, I know that. I don't even know if he know that. But it was just so crazy over the course of our careers. When it was time for me to play against him, he might be hurt. Or then vice versa. You know, it's crazy. It just worked out that way. But when I was in Houston, I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit and just told him how much I appreciate him as a hooper, because I've had injuries over my career. I know how it affects you mentally and how it challenges you. So me and D Rose, I don't know him like that, but I'm one of his biggest fans because I watch him hoop now, and I just see it's nothing like your body letting you do what you know you can do.
So when it comes down to it, you also had, you discussed the longevity of being able to play damn near, 2 decades. And you came up against, Steph Curry and all those guys. But there are some point guards from back in the day that's pretty impressive, where you're battling with Darren Williams and Rondos. And even then, that was the, younger part of your career. But what goes into, the long mental capacity of it? Because you outlasted D. Will, you outlasted Rondo, or even Derrick Rose, and you're still in here in battles with, the next faces of the league, which is like Ja Morant or Trae Young or those guys, where you're literally still teaching them lessons, still balling, still at a high level. So what's that like, and what does that go into? Because you've seen a lot of battles, and the point guard position is one of the toughest positions in anything.
It's hard for me at times because it's this thing where you got to appreciate the old league, right? But you also got to be willing and adapt to change to the new league, right? You can't be one of them guys who are just stuck in them old ways. Like, man, we used to do this. But I think I find myself sometimes just, I get mad at times about little things, whereas y'all both played with Chuck, right? Y'all played with AI.
I did.
No, he did. I came in the year after.
You didn't get a chance to play with AI. Okay, so, and this is one of them, people these young guys hear these old stories and they'll be like, oh, there go them old and he's talking again. But when I came in, Byron Scott was my coach. Yeah. And so I had to play against Gilbert Arenas, Baron Davis, and all these guys. So people talk about the intensity or whatnot that I play with. I play with that because, man, I came in and I had to guard them. Yeah. It wasn't like 3-and-D guys. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. It was like, guard your yard. Yeah. That's your man. That's your matchup. He might give you 40. Roll with it. See what's up. Yeah. So I came in, and I never forget, man, the first time I played against AI, I think he had 24 shot attempts in the first half. In the first half. And I'm like, damn, Chuck passed the ball. You know what I mean? But it's just, Gil is so much taller than me. BD, also Baron, so strong as his guard or whatnot. Like, in this league, no, it would be like a power forward guard, one of them guys. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But that was the league I came into, and that's why I am the way that I am.
I want to dive into that a little bit more, because you have that. When I watched The Last Dance, after watching it, I was able to see you in a different light, because I work with you in the union. So, I knew that side, and I'm like, this dude puts the same energy into everything else that he does on the court. And I was like, wow, it's impressive. But when I watch The Last Dance, I think of who are the guys that are competitive like that. And you came to mind. I'm like, oh, okay. Because if you don't know that, because I had a conversation with a coach, right? And he hates you. He was like, man, F Chris Paul this. And I'm like,
you talking about Steve?
No. No, he was an assistant coach my first year with the Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
And he just, Steve knows basketball. Steve loves basketball. Right. So, regardless of how you make him feel, he respect the hooper. And so I get into an argument hey, man, I don't care what you say, how you feel about dude. He played for the Clippers, so I don't like him either. But he one of the baddest point guards of all time. How you gonna say that about some? Hey, man, it's just respecting the game, Buddy Nice. You can't argue with that. But I don't think that becomes who you are. When you get in the league, I think it's something you always had that in you. And I know you played football growing up, but I think you always had that competitive spirit to you, like that kind of mean-spirited, competitive edge, which you need in our league too. You need that. Like, I feel like that's gone away. I do think that that's gone away a little bit. Not to say it's good or bad, but where did that come from?
It's gone to a certain extent, but a lot of it came from, I grew up being at the YMCA, playing with older guys. I got an older brother. All his homies was always talking crazy to me. And, I played JV for 2 years. You know what I mean? So, like, it was really a grind. Like, every single day when I was in high school, my freshman and sophomore year, I practiced with the JV and the varsity every day. Every day. Then I got to the league. I played for B. Scott. Like, we practiced hard. Like, we got a turnover in practice. We ran 17s. You know what I mean? And so the other thing, too, is, like, I don't know. I played football, but I always tell people all the time, my whole career, and I love the big guys that I played with. Tyson Chandler, I played with DeAndre Jordan, I played with Okafor, I played with a number of guys who were great, great guys, but you know what I'm saying? I never really had somebody where, like, if somebody fouled me, they gon', they just gonna come over there and be like, what's up? Like Shaq. You know how Shaq was, sort of like Ticket was, KG and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's been, you elbow me, I'm handling my damn self. You know what I'm saying? And that is what it is. And that's within the game or whatnot, but that's always been what it is.
Is that the mentality you took to OKC with you? Because you see some of these trends in the league sometimes with some of the older superstars, they kind of send you here, send you there, and then kind of hope you figure out your way to pasture. But you went into OKC, turned it around, you had like a 10th of a chance to make the playoffs, and then you built some killers.
Yeah.
I really want to know about that because most people would be depressed moving from Houston to, shout out to the city of OKC, they still getting built up and everything. But then being on a rebuilding team, what you did there was unbelievable.
I'm gonna tell you, ET, which is crazy, is because like, it's so many dynamics, like Dre was talking about, to life for all of us that a lot of people don't know. Like, as much as, like, all the teams that I've been on have hated Golden State and they've hated the team that I've been on, me and Dre done had to work hand in hand with the union and stuff for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Dre, Willie Green is my big brother and family to me. When he went and coached for the Warriors, it changed our relationship for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, me and Dre, like, we would have to do union business, but on this side, like, our teams hate each other. So, it's funny being with the Warriors now. You should have heard us in the locker room today. We be talking about so many different things that happened over the years, miscommunication things. But if you know somebody, you know them. And so when I went to OKC, the people who know me wasn't surprised. Like, I don't know how, to each his own. Listen, that wasn't obviously my first choice to end up at OKC after Houston, right? I moved me and 15 people to Houston. I thought Houston was gonna be it for me, but the business happens, things change. When they told me I was going to OKC, it wasn't ideal, but a couple of days went by. The GM for OKC hadn't hit me, Sam Presti, because if they don't hit you right away, maybe that means they moving you.
Right.
So I reached out to Sam. I called Sam. I hit my agent. I was like, can you get Sam Presti's number for me? I called Sam and said, yo, Sam, I need the guys on the team phone number. Because that's just the way I operate.
Yeah.
Like, Dre I over-communicate. So I called them guys and was like, yo, when we hooping, what we doing? Let's get together. Let's figure this out. And the very first day we had practice in OKC, Billy Donovan and any of my teammates to tell you, I stood up in the meeting and I told them, I said, yo, fellas, I don't get no alerts on my phone. I don't know what they be talking about I'm just here for a couple games and I'm moving on. I said, any questions, ask me. I said, but I don't do anything half-assed. I said, I don't know how to halfway be here, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You know how you hear all the speculation where they be like, oh, this guy's there, but he's gonna get moved to such and such. I don't know how to operate like that. So when I got to OKC, it didn't matter what anybody was saying on the outside because the guys in the locker room knew what it was, all right? And so that made our team that much tighter and stronger, and I'm connected to all them guys. We didn't win it, but I'll be connected to them for life because that was my first year living without my family.
Yeah, and you see, talk about connection. The other day, you guys played versus OKC, and you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander jumping over the seats to come say hi to you and your family.
Beautiful.
Talk about that connection, that relationship, and what it's like from when you first seen him to now being he's one of Dre's favorite players.
And what you say?
He's the waviest dude alive too, for sure.
You said something to him in regards to Steph, because every time he sees Steph,
yeah.
So we played them. His rookie. We played against him in the playoffs when he was with the Clippers.
When he was a rookie, I didn't know him.
Okay, he was a rookie then, but he killed us his rookie year.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was when they came back in that.
Yeah.
That was when they came back, one of them games.
One of them games that came back, Lou had went crazy or something like that. But but that dude got a chance to be one of the best players in the league, and I think you told him something.
I'm gonna tell you, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how the world works. So I got to Vegas that summer, and I seen Shai, and I'd already knew of him or whatnot, but I went up and dapped him up at Summer League, and this was after he had got traded to OKC. All right, I'm still in Houston. I dapped Shai up. I said, man, that's going to be a good look for you on OKC. You got your own team now. You get to run the show. You get to do your thing. Boy, what, 5 days later, I got traded to OKC.
Yeah, that's going to be a good look for you on OKC. You got your own team now. You get to run the show.
Do your thing. Then, bam, and I'm there with him. Man, I mean this when I say it, and I try not to get emotional when I talk about Shai, man, because that was my first year living without my family, right? Without my wife and my kids in LA. And man, Shai, he just a basketball head, right? You show me somebody love basketball and crazy about their family, then me and them gonna be tight, right? And so Shai would come over to my house before practice just to eat, because I had a chef. You know what I'm saying? Night after games, Shai at my house, him and Darius Baisley, Lou Dort or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So Shai, I mean, when I play in Toronto, he ain't even my teammate no more, and his mom and dad come to the game. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Shit, the night before we played them, he was here. You know, I just talked to him yesterday because I need Shai to beat Minnesota tomorrow to help us out with the play-in tournament. You know, so y'all know, I mean, you look at you guys' relationship. You know what I mean? I don't know how many years y'all played together. How many years y'all played together?
Was it 1 or 2? 2.
We only played two.
Yeah, 2. Just 2.
See, which is crazy, but you see you guys' connection. Me and Shai played together for 1 year. Yeah. For 1 year, man. And I tell you, it ain't a time where I can't call him. Like, something happened to him this past summer, and I was with my family, and he sent me a text and was like, call me right quick. And it was like a big thing that happened in his life, and we didn't already play them the 3 times that we're going to play them this year. So yesterday I was giving him some basketball advice about stuff that I watch when I play, just because I didn't want to tell him if we had to play them again. But man, he's so good when it come to hooping, and he's just an even better person, and I mean that.
So talking about the game of basketball, like you're obviously a savant of the game. Like I've seen a clip of you and Draymond interacting on the sub. Yeah. He was like, you take it, I'll take it out, you take it in, you be on this side. It might have been like a pistol action or something like that. Who's guarding you? You go right there. They're going to flip it. We get the matchup we need. And 90% of the league can't do that. But I feel like it's a lost art. But I don't want to be Tom Brady and bash the new school. And so I'm trying to ask you is, what are some things you like about the game now? But also, what are some things you feel like is missing that needs to come back? Because I floated this because Shai keeping the mid-range game around, and I credit you a little bit for that one. Yeah,
it's crazy because they had a game the other night against Philly. And you know I watch every game every night. If we don't play, I watch every single game every night. I had the TVs because I like it. I enjoy seeing these plays that they running and whatnot. So Shai had about 6 middies that he missed that game against Philly the other night. But what I appreciate about the game now and in the past, like I'm constantly learning stuff. So it's funny, last year in Phoenix, because the league has trends, right? It has trends and it's analytics and all this stuff, but I'll tell y'all that, and that's why it's so hard to watch games sometimes, because you hear people talking, sometimes they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I digress. Man. So what happened is there's this trend in the league, which is actually really, really dope with the offensive rebounding, right? Last year, our biggest focus in Phoenix was going to the glass, offensive rebound. If you watch Josh Okogie, next time you watch Phoenix play, just watch how many guys are crashing now. And we got a lot of good coaches with Golden State. And so that was a big emphasis for us this year too. And I was sitting there this year and I was like, oh yeah, we started doing that last year. Because you know how everybody talks about transition defense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And so Evan, you probably remember too, point guards used to always have to do what when the shot went up?
Get back.
Get back.
Yeah.
Get back.
Yeah.
And I was telling some of my coaches, when I was in college, my college coach would make me run for every offensive rebound that I got. Right? Like even if it was on accident.
Yeah.
So if it was like a 2-on-1 break and my teammate missed it and I put it back in, put the tip back in off the shot, that was an offensive rebound. My coach was gonna make me run.
That's wild.
Because they always programmed us to
Yeah.
do what?
Get back.
Get back
back.
on the shot. Yeah.
When you running dummy offense, somebody shoot, you gotta get back, I'm back. It's changed now.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. If you go to the offensive glass, now guys have to account for you and it's gonna slow down the transition.
Ah,
Look at that. Makes sense, don't it?
they do. Especially with the switching. Everybody can guard everybody. So it's not like you have to
Yep.
match up with a center. Not like Shaq got to match up with a wing or a wing matching up with a center. Everybody's,
Yep.
interchangeable anyway. So it's, it's just your position.
And so now when y'all watch games, just watch, because every team now, for the most part, is teaching. Like I've gotten the green light to go to the glass, right? That's never been the case.
Yeah.
I used to watch like Russ and Rondo and all them and be like, damn, coach, let me go to the glass one time. Let me. But now, and when I heard it for the first time, I was like, damn, that makes sense. Because if everybody's having to box out now, you're not just going to be getting a clean rebound, kicking the ball up, playing in transition.
I want to ask something about the mid-range game, because we always discuss it. We argue with Tatum about it because we say come playoff time, you have to make sure you score from all three levels. And when you guys went to the finals a couple years ago, I remember D Book, even when he had 22 in the first half, 23 in the first half, he probably only had 2 or 3 three-point attempts. Or there wasn't too many like three-point attempts during that game. So like when it buckles down, can you talk about like the difference between like trying to continue to have all three levels of that game and why the mid-range matters? Because you start looking at players needed when the defense starts getting set.
Yeah, I think it also depends on how your team is built and constructed, right? So with that team in Phoenix, right, we had a traditional big in that he was rolling and whatnot. So when you play 5 out, you're going to get a lot more threes because now the paint is wide open. So a lot of times what happens, and I always tell people the reason why I tried to perfect the mid-range is because the league went to a drop, right? Like y'all played in the league when there actually used to be shows and
Boston
things and all that different type stuff, right?
Yeah.
So another Shai story, and Shai probably gonna be mad for me telling it. But that year we was in OKC together. I don't know who we had played against. Might have been Chicago or something. But they was like up at the screen. They was up at the level. And Shai came to the bench and the way he talked me funny. He was like, see, what do I do? What do I do? He was like, what do I do? Like he didn't know the reads. Because I always say this. Exactly. Or the low man is over, so now you might have to cross-court pass it or whatnot.
And
skip
it's a backdoor lob possibly. Yeah, if they roll quick enough.
And so I think the game defensively, and this was crazy. Y'all know I'm still in it. So when you see these scores, like it's still weird for me to pick up my phone and check the scores, and I see 150.
Indiana Pacers.
Bro, that's crazy.
I mean, like,
Indiana keeps scoring 140 points. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah, like what are they doing in practice if they're giving up 150 points? Like, bro, like we used to say 25 a quarter. That's how.
Boom. So look, that's so crazy. You just said that. You just said that. I told BP, one of our rookies or whatnot. I still haven't, even though I've been in the league this long, it's crazy because I still look at it as 25 a quarter, right? like 25 a quarter is 100. So when we in the game and I look up and the team got 30, I'll be like, yo, what are we doing? what are we doing?
And the league average 120. You know what I mean?
See, that's crazy,
Yeah.
but that's a thing where some people might not. I believe that all goes back to the defense. It goes back to the defense because now just about every night, most teams are in a drop, right? So if you think about it, every team is in a drop. And you got a few of us who get to the mid-range, but you got the Stephs, the Dames, and all that who's dribbling right into a three.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And everybody acting like they there or whatever. You ain't there. That's cash. You know what I mean? No, and that's right. They gonna say I'm the old nigga that's talking, but it's just you're getting the answers to the test, if that makes sense. Yeah. Right. So now as a guard, when you come off, it ain't no thought. You ain't having to make no reads. It's like, I know that guy way back there. I'm pulling up.
Yeah. And so in what you're saying in terms of defense, you led the league in steals 6 times, right? I don't think can anybody catch. Can you catch John Stockton on steals?
No, you shouldn't be able to. It's
Man,
impossible.
listen, I'm out there. If I'm out there playing with my grandkids.
No, but you're one of the best defensive point guards of all time. You know, steals, you're top whatever 3, 4, and it feels like that art of defense has been taken out the game. Like we see more offensive moves than we've ever seen before. Like that's the part of the game I like. The kid in Philly.
Tyrese
Maxey and Darius Garland.
Yeah.
I'm watching these kids, and they know how to go between the legs and set up a triple step back. And it's like, man, these kids shooting these threes, stepping back, like it's crazy.
And they don't even know where the line is. I'm like, bro, what? Like, they 15 feet behind the line.
Y'all ought to see AAU. You know what I'm saying? So you know, Dre, I do AAU like crazy. Like Trey Young, that stuff y'all seeing him do now. He been doing that since he was in high school. You know, on the AAU circuit, he was stepping across half court, shooting deep.
Yeah, so I guess how do you feel on the art of the defense and where it's gone, and does it need to come back? And yeah, that part first, because I got another one to follow up on it.
Let me say this.
Because winning is a part of the game.
150 points ain't.
No question. So one of the things that I will never forget, right, is, and if y'all ever get a chance, talk to Lawrence Frank or talk to DJ, DeAndre Jordan. So me and DJ for a few years, we was leading the league, and because they had statistics for everything, we led the league in pick and roll defense, right? Because DJ was a tall, athletic guy who could get up at the point of the screen, and I would, body up and, try to get my hands up for deflections and all of that. And I never forget the day Lawrence Frank came in for training camp, and he was like, "Hey, fellas, we going to a drop," right? I never forget that practice because I looked at DJ and DJ looked at me, right? Because, most big guys would probably be like, hell yeah, because a drop is basically everybody back like that.
Yep.
And so DJ, I'll never forget that year because that was the year like the analytics really creeped into the league and said, oh, we're going to give up this shot. And it's, I don't know. I know a little bit about defense, I feel like. So, I don't know. I've always enjoyed defense. You know what I'm saying? You had to play both sides of the ball. But now it's whatever you got to do to win. I get it.
Yeah, but it is, a lot of the young guys who are coming up, the Trey Youngs, the Darius Garlands, Tyrese Maxey. Can those dominant shooting guards have the chance to really win a championship? I mean, with Maxey, there's Embiid, but do you think they can be dominant in that fashion with the volume of shots from where they're shooting from and have a real shot at winning the championship? Because that's a part of analytics that aren't a part of the equation. Like that analytics isn't a part of like, what does it take to win a championship? It's telling you what can get you the highest amount of points. But it's like, what are you forgetting a whole other side to it? Like you got the Miami Dolphins had one of the greatest offenses of all time, undefeated, but they couldn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, also, too,
what
what
you
gets
about to
taken out the game, too, you say defense, then it's playmaking, then it's awareness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And,
Right.
you know, it's IQ. Like, it's only thing that sometimes it seems like it matters is if you can shoot 35% from the three. Because now you got guys on the court, we can say OKC, their future's so bright only because they have a guaranteed 4 playmakers on the team.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day, you had to do, like, damn near everything to be on the team, and a shooter, if he didn't make 1 or 2 shots, you set his soft ass down because he couldn't guard. And like now it's like, hey, why you like this kid? Because he can play make. It's like, wait, he's playing basketball at the highest level. We should all play make. We should all be able to come off and pass left, right. You know what I mean?
Right, but it's like you said, back in the day too, it was a bunch of specialists.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of specialists. And I tell you all the time, like even though OKC didn't win that many games last year or the year before, you could see this coming with them. Because I talk to Shai about this all the time, is that usually everybody on the court with them can do something, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But it's not just that they can do something, it's the freedom that sort of like Mark gives them all to play with, if that makes sense. Right? Like if you open shoot it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if it's the center, if it's the 5, it's the 4-man. So you think you ain't supposed to close out to this guy because he's not Shai or he's not such and such. Cash, you're like, damn.
Right.
You know? And so, you know, some teams you'll play against and they'll kick it to a guy and that guy will like be like, should I shoot this?
Yeah.
Should I shoot this? And you play against OKC, they're going to let it fly.
Now, as we transition, you know, I want to talk about leadership. And naturally, in our era, when we grew up, the point guard was the leader. And I feel like it's always been like that. You know, there's a lot of conversations of, is the best player on the team the leader? And I think us growing up, the point guard was the leader, regardless if he was the best player on the team or not. You know, he kept everybody happy, he kept everybody on the same page, so on and so forth. And so you've had success everywhere you've gone. You know, like there is a pride thing to that is like innate in you. I don't think everybody can get that. But in terms of leadership, you know, what are you, because I talked to Mikal Bridges as well. I had a really good conversation about, you know, him, you know, being more involved, you know, with player engagement, the union, so on and so forth. And he spoke so highly of you. You know, where did that come from? You know, how did you continue to become a better leader? And what are you telling your teammates?
Man, Dre, I think a lot of it come from experience, but it come from asking a lot of questions, you know? And I don't know, I think when I came into the league, right, I was the 4th pick. I went to a team that had won 18 games. It was 18-64 before my rookie year. And so I go to New Orleans, and it's different, man, when you come to the league. Y'all know, like, I was 19, 20 years old, and now I'm out here playing with grown men, you know? And I'm fast as hell, and I'm like, but I'm out here with Jamal McGlure. I'm out here with PJ Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like some real, like vets, some real old heads. Yeah. And I never forget during practice, I mean, believe it or not, the people listening, I was fast once upon a time. But Jamal McGlure, I'm pushing the ball up the court, and he was like, slow down, young fella, slow down. And I never forget, I was looking around like, huh? He was like, slow down, pass me the ball. I'm the all-star. Give me the fucking ball, right? And I was like, oh, shit. Then one of my assistant coaches came up to me, and he said something so wild. I ain't gonna say what he said, but he basically told me, get him, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Yep. And so at that young age, I was just concentrated on hooping, and then B. Scott used to always be on me, man. And that's why I forever loved B. Scott. I mean, practices was hard as hell, but the way he had my back and the way he taught me, and he let me play. He let me play, and he used to be like, CP, tell him, talk to him. You know what I mean? Tell him what you see. And so then I got D. West was on that team, David West. And so D. West, man, I just got a chance to see, okay, D. West don't say much, but he lead in other ways. Yeah. And so what I started to realize is that both are necessary. Like both are necessary. And so when I done went to these different teams or whatnot, when I played in Houston, like Trevor Ariza and PJ Tucker was 2 huge big leaders of that team, right? That led differently from me, right? Same thing when I went to Phoenix. And then even getting here, being in the Bay now with the Warriors, being around the team, I see how important you were and how important Draymond is into this team being what it is. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, Steph, Clay, all them, they super duper nice or whatnot, but Steph just gonna go out and try to bust your ass, right? He ain't really gonna talk about much. He's just gonna go out there and get to it. But it shows you the importance of having people that talk and communicate. You know?
Well, what made you feel like you were ready to, move off the court? From 2013 to 2021, you were the union president. And in between there, we spoke on it last week, you, Michelle, Roberts, Trey, and a lot of those guys, you pretty much helped, push the league forward and push the union forward and, take tons of leaps and bounds. What made you feel like you were ready for that? Because that was a job nobody wanted and a problem nobody wanted.
Boy.
And to get NBA guys to listen at that union back then was damn near impossible.
Man, listen, me and Dre could do a whole damn show about all the stuff that we didn't seen or whatnot, but I'm telling you, man, it's crazy to think about it. And that's why I always talk about Dre, and I used to talk about James Jones and all this stuff. And the conversations that we had, boy, it wasn't a such thing as family time. We'd be on vacation. Dre, you'd be somewhere, and we turn a 20-minute conversation into 2 hours just because we wanted to make sure everybody was being heard, everybody was being seen. And I mean, give a lot of credit to Jerry Stackhouse, because that was how I ended up even as president to begin with, Dre. You remember that out in Vegas?
Yep.
And when I actually won or whatever, because I think I ran against Roger Mason.
Yep.
And you know what it's like when you like run for the seat, it happens in person with everybody, which is obviously weird because we all in the NBA. And so they did the votes. Everybody walked out the room and we just sitting in there. I think Roger was like sitting right next to me, and we just sitting around. They come back in and they announce.
I kind of knew how it was going to end. Nobody was on pins and needles in the head with CP and Roger Mason.
But listen, man, when I flew back to North Carolina, I was so stressed. I was like, man, how am I supposed to do this? Seriously, because we didn't have an ED. I mean, when I landed, I hit Carmen later at work for me and said, Carmen, tell him I ain't doing it. I was gonna quit.
That was before an athlete was more than an athlete. So you was just really like writing the blueprint and being like, damn, I ain't taught all this shit, and now I gotta really figure it out. Yeah.
And then the thing too was Dre know, and I just keep saying this, man, because when stuff would happen, all this stuff like that, and I talk about Dre a lot because I always say this wasn't like my company. The union was not CP3 LLC, and it wasn't Dre's company. So anytime we made a decision, it wasn't just on me and his behalf or anything, but it was just crazy because there's so many players in the league, right? 450, right? And more than half of them don't like me, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Probably don't. And me and Dre used to talk about that all the time. It's like, I get it. You don't have to like me, but there's somebody on this executive committee that I'm sure you probably like. So that person can communicate this or that to you, but I can look anybody in the eye and say that any decision that was ever made over that time was on behalf of all the players and not just a few of them. Because I tell you, man, when we start doing that bubble stuff, boy, you can start getting disrespectful.
I heard, man.
Always was talking crazy, but I was always so grateful that I had, I didn't know everything. So when there were certain things that would go on, I hit Dre. Dre, you remember that time we talked to Michelle and we was about to cancel the whole thing? Yep. I was standing in my backyard. And there was just so much stuff going on, and me and Dre had been on the phone and was like, man, these guys saying it, man, forget it. Let's not do it. But
right.
But that's a big thing too, pause, because like we sitting here and it's like y'all got more than what y'all want, pause, y'all got everything y'all want. Money is really not y'all problem. Like what went deep into the thought of being like, because it was only the people on the committee and the rest of us just kicking it while y'all try to handle the problems. Like, where did that drive come from? Because, like, it was no small feat, and it's really not y'all damn problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have been like, LeBron, handle this because you're supposed to be woo out the bay on the face of the league, have this person handle this and the third. But like y'all signed up and put the city on your back.
I think it was
Right.
like we always knew that we got to take care of the 450.
Yeah.
Like I think we understood that, and I think it's just how we approach things. Like you saying, you got nervous or you was like freaking out, like, man, I can't do this. When the fellas asked me to do it, and I was like, cool, I'll do it. Man, I had a couple nightmares, and I was like, man, I don't think I can do this. Like that's a real thing. And then you and I had a conversation about it, and I think that's a good thing. When I got to the finals with Jimmy Butler in Miami, he was like, bro, I'm nervous. And I was like, Jimmy, that's a good thing. That means you actually care.
Means you care.
That means you care.
He was nervous in Denver. That's
No, but he went out. He went crazy against the Lakers in that series.
True.
And so I think that just says something to like how we approach things. Like I tell CP all the time, or I remind guys, like, listen, like CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, go ask CP everything that he did. Like he approached this with like precious care. Like you always took notes. You were always aware of what was going on. Carmen was always around making sure we were all on the same page. We were scheduling things out. Whatever issues we had, I knew you was on the phone with Adam constantly. Anytime something went down, you knew about it. You were trying to discuss it. You were trying to get to the root of the problem. You were trying to fix it. And I knew that you cared because don't nobody see that stuff. Don't nobody see this stuff, man. Like we be putting in hours and hours. Like my wife was like, when are you done with this union stuff? I used to get that question so many times. She was like, you ain't getting paid for this. And I was like,
it's only 8 of us that can understand.
You know what's crazy? What's crazy, Dre, is this, is it's down to the small details of like LaToya. LaToya that works for the union. Who was unbelievable. Yeah. And it goes from experience because for all these years, and I think this is why we did it too, is because we had experience of knowing what it had looked like. So we knew sort of what it should look like.
Right.
So when we used to have them, those union meetings back in the day, it used to be the EC sitting up front and everybody else sitting sort of in the back, just looking up at them. Right? So as soon as I became president, I talked to Dre and I talked to LaToya about it. I said, I want to change up this room. I just don't like the feeling of it because with all of us players, 450 players who got egos, all this different type of stuff, when you walk into a room and you feel like the EC up there and the president up there and the other players back here, then even though it might not be said, guys feel like, oh, they better than us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it seems small. That's why we started doing the seating. You know what I'm talking about? Like the couches.
Amongst the guys.
Where everybody was facing each other and talking to each other. So, so it's all them little details, man, and just making sure that everybody felt part of what we was doing.
I want to ask you a question. What level of difficulty was that compared to like the Donald Sterling situation? Because one goes from like a private, like members only situation to now everybody's talking about you gotta do what's right for the people. And like this, and this was like one of the first moments when they're like, if I was the Clippers, I want, you know what I mean? I want to play it in a bunch of like goofy stuff where it comes down to it, where whatever decision you made. I remember David West being in locker room because I played for the Pacers at the time. He's like, CP, they got to sit out, man. He'll be illuminated. You got to do it. I'm like, bro, D. West, this ain't the Rosa Parks story, my nigga. Like, this, I feel where you're coming from, but like, man.
You know what? You know what's crazy is that, man, I've been in so many situations since I've been in the league that sometimes I forget all the different ones. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I had that situation.
They wouldn't let you get traded.
They wouldn't let you get traded. That was crazy.
As soon as I got traded to Houston, the owner was Les Alexander. Maybe 2 weeks after, he sold the team to Tillman Fertitta. You know what I mean? So what's
real
crazy is exactly what I was saying about not exactly about that, you wild boy, but
I'm just playing, y'all.
What I was about to say about what you was talking about just now about the Sterling situation. It's sort of what happened with the bubble. right?
Right.
Like with the bubble, with everything that happened with Jacob Blake, and then Milwaukee didn't come out to play, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about your phone going off, when the thing happened, and I was with the Clippers with Sterling, oh my goodness, man! Like I had Al Sharpton, had Jesse Jackson, I had all these people calling my phone telling me what we should do and what we needed to do.
Killer Mike, David Banner.
And that's when it benefits to be the vice president, not the president.
But you know what? When the stuff happened with the bubble, now I started calling out to people who I sort of knew. I mean, I called Killer Mike, I called Angela Rye, I called Robert Smith, I called some of these people who might be able to give some insight into what we might need to be doing or what we might need to be asking for.
And so, continuing on with leadership, how have you built this incredible presence and voice for HBCUs? I was just watching last week. It was a Chris Paul HBCU Classic. And I was like, this is dope. And it was one kid with a burner.
Tournament.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they played for Winston State. We had a tournament that was out at Mohegan Sun, right? Okay. It was 4 teams that play out there. And now we got another one that's coming out here in Vegas in a few weeks, or it's next month in December. And I think the thing about it, as y'all know, is that you don't get to the NBA by skipping steps, right? So you got to do the work. And so when I really started to dive into all that HBCU stuff, man, I started like really studying, because when you're a kid, you don't know nothing. Yeah. Like when I grew up, Winston-Salem State was in my hometown, and Wake Forest, like both in my hometown. Like my grandfather's service station is 10 minutes from Winston-Salem State and 10 minutes from Wake Forest. But as a kid, you don't know what a PWI is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know that. Like I saw Winston-Salem State, but that was a college and that was a college. It wasn't until I got older and I understood there's only 107 HBCUs. And then I started to understand that the financial aspect of it is that they're not getting private funding, right? A lot of these big schools or whatnot, they getting alumni who giving the school money and all this stuff. So I just did a deep dive into it, and I wanted to try to support us. Because when you dive into it, you start to realize that a lot of our family members, they could only go to these HBCUs because they couldn't get educated anywhere else.
Right.
So...
And you studied at Wake Forest but ended up getting your degree from Winston-Salem State, correct?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem, North
Carolina.
Yeah, like the wood.
Watching the wood. Mike from the wood.
Mike.
So most people didn't heard of like North Carolina A&T, right? Because you heard G-Ho, greatest homecoming on earth. My brother went to Hampton his freshman year, right? So in that area, you got all these different HBCUs that I grew up around, North Carolina Central, Livingstone, all this stuff. So for me, Wake Forest is a huge part of my story. I got a locker room named after them. I'm forever grateful for them, but it worked out for me dope because basically I started at Wake Forest and I finished at Winston-Salem State, which is both the 2 schools in my hometown.
And just giving back and, understanding things that you don't know as a kid. And I never did this while I was with the Warriors, but as soon as you join the team, you go over to San Quentin and they have a basketball game with the Warriors versus the actual prisoners.
Yeah, they did like a Netflix stop
too, right? And so for me, I'll give you my perspective. I've always known that, African-American males are disproportionately sent to prisons and work through that system. And I had a few family members in prison. And I always told myself, like, I'm never going to jail, even to visit. Like, that's just one place I don't want to go because of the trauma behind it, how we've been related to going to prison. And so, like, I refused to go. And it wasn't because I didn't want to go with the team. It was just like, no, I don't even want to visit the jail to see my family members. That's just one place I'll never go. Like, I hate riding past it just because I know what comes historically this country has done to us. Like, it's the new form of slavery. Like, the original police officers were slave catchers. And so for you, I saw you got to experience it, and it opened my eyes to something like damn, would I have wanted to experience that? And so, like, what was that experience like for you, and what did it open up your eyes to?
Man, what's crazy is everything that you just said is so valid. Like, I feel that, you know what I mean? And losing my grandfather when I was 17 to 5 teenagers, that gave me a whole different set of emotions in going over there, right? And going to San Quentin. And the only other time I visited a prison, so my wife, her dad was a sheriff back home. Her mom was a magistrate, so her mom worked at the jail. But the only time I'd ever been to a jail was I went to visit Wayne when he was in Rikers.
Yep.
Right? When Wayne was in Rikers Island, me and my brother went to go see him when he was locked up. And that was an experience in itself. So going to San Quentin was wild too, because I'll tell you this, my uncle, my granddad's brother, was locked up there for 9 years. Right? And I didn't meet him for the first time till I might have been like 13 or something like that. And so going there, you know, you just never know, like, what's it gonna be like? What's it gonna, you know? And I'm telling you, man, I've already been trying to work on it to go back, because I sort of had that feeling that you had, like, I don't want to go, I don't want to see. But then I went in there and, you know, everybody has their story, things happen or whatnot. That's not for me to judge or anything like that. But when I did get in there and got a chance to talk to some of them and just play dominoes with them, you know what I mean? That was the first thing I did. I was standing over there, the game was about to start. One of the big homies over there, he stood up on the table and started doing like that, right? So that meant he was like watching the dominoes. And I said, well, what's up then? So I walked over there with them, and man, I got a video and all that stuff from my phone from watching. And I mean, they talking cold hard shit. They like, hey, this jail rules right here, this prison rules right here. We play to 100. We ain't going to 150. And so I sat there and we played the best out of 3. OG beat me in the first game and I beat him in the next 2 games. But just for that period of time, because seeing, like you said, a whole bunch of black men, right? Like for me, them look like my uncles. Them look like my family members.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I wasn't in there to judge them on what had happened or whatnot, but it felt as good for me to be there with them as if it might have felt great for them.
I got one last question.
Go ahead, rock out.
So, my last question for you, and I've heard this a lot, the best players to play the game often don't translate into maybe it's coaching or GM. You being ultra competitive, you can pretty much do anything you want. You know, you can speak the game, you can coach the game. You know, you got business endeavors. Like you've done it all. You're one of the few guys that have been able. You can leave your fingerprints just about anywhere for a professional athlete. But your competitive nature is not going anywhere. Like I think we know that. And so, what do you see yourself doing? 10 years from now.
Man, listen here. First and foremost, I want to. I mean, I know you know it and talk about it and stuff like that, but I definitely want to own a team. I want to be on the ownership side of a team because I know that GM survey that come out and talk about me being a coach and all that, but I coach AAU. I coach my AAU team. I got 13 of my AAU kids who now play in the NBA. You know what I mean? So I'll coach my AAU team, but the only reason I don't want to coach in the NBA is because I don't want to travel like this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to travel like this because I done missed so much of my kid's life, and I know y'all know what that feel like.
Yep.
And Dre, it's so crazy because I pay attention, right? Like, I remember when you said you was done, I was like, what? And then when I got traded to Golden State, you remember I called you?
Yes, sir.
I called Dre, I said, I need 1 more year.
Yeah, you told me.
I called him right away. I told him, I said, I need 1 more year out of you. But it's crazy because D-Wade, like my brother, right? I've watched him transition. I'm watching Melo now. I'm watching you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching guys and I'm seeing, because y'all the same way. Y'all ultra competitive.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely want to continue to do all my different business things or whatnot. I got a production company. part owner of TBT that Evan won that year.
I saw that. Yeah, you sent that little 60 bands to the squad. You did that thing.
ET them won that.
That was all right.
It's a lot of other things that's going on, man. But I love this game too much to just leave it.
Right.
And the reason why I say I want to be a part of an ownership group or own a team is because, as you know, I done seen everything that you can possibly see when it talks about a team, whether that's ownership, whether that's coaching, whether that's GMs, whether that's seeing, I mean, hell, with the union, we did an audit on teams every year.
Yes.
So we know where money being spent, where it's not being spent, you know, all this different type stuff. ET looking like, damn, y'all know a lot.
Damn, y'all was working. Right? You should own a team.
And so within that and my passion for basketball or whatnot, man, it would be perfect because I don't want to lead a game because like you said, it's too much love there.
And also, too, you don't want a boss neither. After all the shit you did, you got a boss around basketball. You're like, man, fuck that, man. Straight up. I know you don't know now, but you're going to realize like, nah, G, I'm straight, fam. I'm going to figure it out, man. How much is this? I'll be back.
Listen, what's so crazy, and it's not like a plug, I'm going to just tell you for real, dog. I wrote a book about my relationship with my grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
My grandfather got murdered when I was 17, and my granddad had the first black-owned service station in North Carolina. Oh, wow. But what you just said is what my granddad used to say all the time. My granddad used to say, hey, man, I can't have some white man telling me where to be every day. That's what my granddad used to say all the time.
And I wasn't the smartest. I'm like, bro, age 29, I think this is starting to become a little bit like, I'm cool, bro. I'm cool.
Well, CP, we appreciate you for all those listening. I got the book. I need to come by and get it signed, actually. I think I got 2 copies of it. Go check out Chris Paul's book, New York Times bestseller. Just amazing. All the things you've done, continuing to do. Multiple gold medals, one of the best teams of all time. And we just continue to root for you just because you keep pushing the game forward. And that competitive nature is, we got to make sure that stays within the game. So I appreciate the time. Y'all go get a win.
Man, listen, I appreciate y'all so much. ET, I appreciate you, man. And before I go here, you talk about giving people their flowers. Dre, telling you, dog, all these years, all this stuff with the union, it wouldn't have been possible without you. I say that publicly, privately, you know that. Now you know with this new endeavor that you got. What was the first thing I told you? I said, don't hesitate.
Yes, sir.
Call me.
Yes, sir. I appreciate
it. If you need anything, man. So I'm supporting you always.
Yes, sir. Y'all go get some. Y'all got us. We got a squad. I say we. Yeah. We got a squad. Can I say we? Y'all got a squad. I don't know who I can.
You can say we. You can say we.
Okay.
You going forward.
Yeah, you know who I'm rooting for. You know who I'm rooting for.
If y'all win a championship, you gotta write a book about you and Steph's relationship over time. I think it'd be a great book, a great story. That'd be lit.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool because we got some crazy stories.
That would be lit. All right, y'all.
All right, fam. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, CP.
All right, no doubt. Appreciate y'all.
Later.